So we doing this recording here. I have this podcast that I want to start called Life in Trinidad. And today I'm talking to a friend of mine, Ricky, about his. I'll be talking to him about with him. There's a kind of behind the scenes for the podcast, as I say, in terms of kind of setting the stage. We're about to record it, and I just want to see how it would go in terms of having it live and the conversation with him. I tried this once and it was kind of pretty distracting. But before we even get started, I should be wishing you happy holidays, and I hope you're all doing well. I see Reaping where you're so. This is the first time I'm trying this audio interface with the uh, computer, so you could get my sense of if you're hearing me and how is sounding on your end. If you're hearing me fine. So I kind of back and forth. As I say, about to start recording the podcast that is unscripted, like Lyndon Batistro, and I'll eventually be posting it on Spotify. And I use the service called Anchor to post the podcast episodes, and it becomes available on Spotify, on the Google Podcast, and a bunch of different services that we have. So happy holidays to you all, and thanks very much for confirming Reaping what you sow. I just wanted to have this here as a sort of archive of beginning this podcast with the first guest. And, hey, DR Productions, how you doing? I hope you're doing well. And yeah, Reaping what you sow. I'm looking to hoping to talk to you soon, at least in the early part of the new year, about your YouTube channel. So wherever you're tuning in from, I wish you all the best, and I hope that you all are doing well in whatever part of the world that you are at. Esther Mongol, good morning to you, and happy holidays as well. So I just kind of, I'll come back to this screen in a bit. I just want to just jump across and do something in Notepad plus plus. So bear with me for a second. Yeah, Ricky. So the struggle to find work. You say you're born in 1974.
Yeah, 1974.
All right, folks. If you could just like this 1974 where you were born. Let's talk a little bit. Tell me what you do for Christmas Day. And if
Because
you all could indicate while you're listening is in terms of how if you're hearing Ricky, fine. As I said, this is the first time that I'm testing this out.
Christmas Day, I just relax myself.
You relax yourself?
Yeah, went up by Eliad Savannah, spend most of the day after check with family members, and that was it.
All right, good man. What Santa Claus bring for you?
Yeah, love from
Love, yeah.
brothers and sisters. Yeah.
All right, very good. Okay, so they say that they hearing you well. Uh, and folks, what you could do, because I'll have two screens up when I start actually recording the podcast. While you're listening, if you have any particular questions that you would like to ask Ricky, by all means, feel free to add it to the chat and I will bring it across to him. You'll also notice that you're not seeing him on the camera. He expressed to me that he doesn't mind having the conversation anonymously. And once we start recording the podcast for posting it on the Spotify, I may not necessarily stop to like greet you all in the comment section unless you have a very particular question for Ricky. Oh, we want to choose. We talk about choosing a name for the podcast, right? And I was kind of thinking about. I want this particular podcast to be like about Red Wall news. I kind of do news versions of shows in news in Trinidad and Tobago. So I have Red Wall news. I could call it. That's a little bit abstract, but people familiar with it. I call this YouTube channel where I'm posting Lyndon Batiste Raw. So I was thinking
Right.
about calling it Lyndon Batiste Raw. And I could also call it Life in Trinidad. Maybe it's easy to kind of Life in Trinidad and Tobago, maybe in terms of being able to search. So those are the names. You know what? Let me just quickly put that as a poll, and you all could probably vote and let me know. be totally red wall news. So maybe that may not be a good name. But I want to just mix it with conversations with people in Trinidad and Tobago. Even Trinidad. It's not even necessary, yeah. Uh, just posted a poll, and y'all could feel free to let me know which name you all favor for the podcast. One of the things I know is like when we are naming the podcast, it should be a name that's kind of searchable in terms of, like maybe people might pull up a podcast service on Spotify, and the thing that they look for is, hey, let me see what coming out at Trinidad and Tobago.
Right.
So someone may not necessarily go to search Lyndon Batiste on our podcast type thing. Hey, Fudas, I hope you're doing well. Hey, Esther, thanks very much for the greetings. I appreciate it. All right, so a couple of people voted for life in Trinidad with Lyndon. So Ricky, you ready to get started?
Yeah.
Get patiently for like about uh, half an hour while I just go through the pieces to setting this up. So let's start recording, and this is for you to tell your story for whoever you would like to hear it in the future, right? Welcome to Life in Trinidad with Lyndon Batiste. I am a writer and content creator from Trinidad and Tobago. I already have a podcast called Caribbean Content Creators, and I wanted to start a show that allows me to speak to people in Trinidad and Tobago about their background, about life in Trinidad as they remembered it. Today is the first episode, and interestingly, I have a YouTube live going on at the same time. There are people in the chat messages. I could think about Reaping What You Sow, Salif and Jenny Rampasad. Today is also the day after Boxing Day. And, I'm happy to be doing this. I am a little bit nervous about it. Today we talking to Ricky. I've had the privilege of knowing Ricky maybe about 2 years now. And we've kind of established a little bit of a working relationship, a little bit of a friendship in that, from time to time he would visit, we'd work together, he'd help me, and I appreciate the help, Ricky, first of all, that you give me here, because you come, and one of the things I admire about you, you work diligently, you work quietly. I admire your work ethic, and most importantly for me, at the end of the day, you always take a little bit of time out to straighten things up. Is I've had a lot of experience where people come and they do work by you, and it's like, yeah, however the place looks afterwards, it looks that way. But I appreciate the work that you do and how you do it. So when you showed up here this morning and we had a coffee together, we had a meal together. I don't think I prepare a meal for my wife for 2022, but if you see me hot in food, if you see me hot in food for Ricky, man. And so we had a meal, we had a coffee, and then I approached it with the idea that, Ricky, would you like to chat a little bit? I'm thinking about starting this podcast, and I talk to people about their history in Trinidad and Tobago and life as they know it. And you agreed to it, so I'm very thankful, and I'm very happy that you are the first guest. And this conversation, I guess, we're not rushing it. You on your own schedule, and we just going and talk about your background in Trinidad and Tobago. And when I asked you what you wanted to call this episode, you said that you want to call it Ricky the Hard Worker, right? And I value you as such, and I look forward to. So thank you for agreeing to this.
You're welcome.
Yeah, man, and
Yeah.
welcome to the show. And I'm
Yeah.
excited that you are the first guest. So Ricky, tell me a little bit about your childhood in terms of where you were born and some of your earliest memories. And we all working towards Ricky the hard worker and what life
Yeah.
was like for you and where you are today in 2022, which we will get to eventually, right? But tell me a little bit about your childhood and your earliest memory and
Alright.
maybe the person you have in mind as the hardest worker that you knew growing up. Growing up.
My childhood start off born Hutton Road, St. Tanks. Mother, father. But before my father run off and left us, my mother make me and a sister, which is a twin, and this mister in the community saw her and he take her in together with us and he helped us along the way, us to school and everything like that. So I give thanks. And my mother ended up marrying him and have 2 more children with him. Yeah. He
Too
and
much children with him.
yeah.
So at the point, so you say you have a twin sister, first of
Yeah,
all.
my twin sister.
And what I was like growing up as a twin sister, is clear as day to you all that to people that you all are twins, or is
Right, clear, clear.
I,
Yeah.
I usually hear people say, but I never had the opportunity to ask a twin that
Yeah.
what there's some kind of special connection with them and knowing certain things. What was that experience like in terms of having
No, well,
a twin sister?
that twin, like if something wrong, the either party there's had a connection.
It's a real thing.
Is a real thing with that. Yeah.
So your mom pregnant with you all somewhere along the lines, your biological dad, he moves on.
He left us and
And what was so you're adopted? Can I use that word? You're adopted. Why you would describe it as in terms of because you have a stepdad and he's taking care.
yeah, like his own.
And tell me a little bit about St. Anne's in well, you say you're born in what 1974?
Yeah, 1974.
Okay, so by
Yeah.
1980, or let me say 1982, which is the year I'm born, you're like about 8 years old in St. Anne's. And tell me a little bit about St. Anne's in 1974, because the only thing I know is St. Anne's Hospital.
Yeah.
I know my parents lived in St. Anne's for a short time, but I'm curious as to what St. Anne's was like and your early memories there.
Was real peaceful, kind, community love amongst each other.
Describe peaceful for me in St. Anne's.
Peaceful.
Okay, because if I think about Cora and peaceful, right, I'm thinking about the mountains, the rivers flowing by.
Yeah,
What would
because
make you describe it as peaceful for you in your early childhood memories, like landmarks you could identify and you could say, "Hey, I live in a peaceful place." For instance, I've been to St. Anne's once or twice, and you look out and you see mountains maybe. So what made it peaceful for you? A river nearby? What was it?
um the gated community in front, gated community in the back, I used to take over Chandler Hill. So we used to be in the center. So we always used to have that love with back and front. Yeah.
Okay.
You're growing up, Christmas time you're passing along, you're getting a little hustle to paint, to clean yard. It was just a love.
All right, and let's go straight into this
Yeah.
working aspect. What is, Ricky the hard worker? What do you remember as your first job?
First job was with my stepfather, going painting. Yeah.
So as early as that, because I mean, the first when we first met, you and me, it was talking along the lines of, any painting jobs that I have coming up, and you've actually done painting by me here.
Yeah.
So you all would move around the community, or particularly at Christmas time, looking for painting jobs.
Yeah, painting jobs, me, my cousin, other brothers and other friends now.
And how old you
Young,
were?
all 12, 13. And we walking around Cascade, up Chancellor. Yeah, and it had peace and love.
People were willing to give you all work? Was it difficult to find work? And
Nah,
how much you probably what you're doing? You're painting the outside of someone's house, and how much you would get paid for that?
no, well, them time, the bless you with something, I still get you a gift. And we was so thankful.
Okay, so
Yeah,
can you recall how much it was back then in 1980 to you're walking around for Christmas and you're going and paint someone's house? How much money? Not necessarily you, because you're working for your stepdad, right?
yeah.
How much money you might have at the end of the day? And you say, well, I make a $5 here.
Yeah, at 20, at $25. And that was plenty in them times. I
Uh-huh.
could have do plenty, yeah.
So what you probably what you would do with your $20, for example?
No, well, you're young, you go see something that you like, you buy it. Most of the time, gonna be snacks. Yeah, the children, yeah, the children, yeah, yeah, that kind of way.
Okay.
Yeah.
Your I'm thinking you touch on something there that reminds me a little bit of my childhood and my brother's role in this. In I was born in 1982, and I could think about being 8 or 9 years old. So let's say somewhere around 1990, and we would want to go to the mall. And is my brother engineering all this, Lasana Batiste? He would take the lawnmower that dad had, and that and he would say, "Hey, let's go walking through the different avenues." We grew up in Trinity. Let's go walking through the different avenues and see if we could get our little hustle here and there. And I could think about particular Saturdays where you would have like about 6 or 7 boys pushing a lawnmower, the rake, the hoe balancing on the front of the lawnmower as you're pushing it through, and you're going from house to house. Hey, neighbor. And there was this kind of enterprising spirit among young boys, and you had this desire to work. I was kind of on the tail end of it, maybe a little bit lazy. I remember, I remember one one day we went by this lady and we wanted to clean some windows or something, right? Yeah, no, we were saying we come to cut the lawn. She's like, "Well, I have some windows to clean and I have some garden beds in the background to weed out." And we do all this work. And then I'm the youngest in the group, right? And she turns to me at the end and she says, young fella, how much you think I should give these fellas for all this work that they do?" And in my brother, this bring up that story because in my little mind it was like, um yeah, well, I feel like $7. And my brothers always talk about this cash pan that this climp pan that the lady brings out with 25 cents, and he's like, but
Mm.
she didn't have money to even pay us $20 if she wanted. So you mentioned something, this is all leading towards this point. You mentioned something along the lines of, is a peace and a love, you're going, you're painting houses, people willing to give you work in community cascade you mentioned, and you leave and they pay you and they probably give you a gift. And throughout the years, is it that you stuck with that type of work? And I'm thinking about what is I want to ask about what's one of the best experiences that you have working with people. But I'm thinking about you being a hard worker and being, extending yourself to people. What would you? I just want to flip it a little bit. And what would you count as a kind of particularly negative experience, just like what I shared with you, and you kind of ask yourself after all this hard day's work, how could somebody have treated me in that manner? Is there any particular thing that stands out in your memory that you felt I'm a hard worker going and putting my hard work in, but then suddenly somebody takes advantage of me and you kind of lose hope maybe in humanity and maybe where even Trinidad and Tobago is heading in terms of how we interact with each other?
At that time, as growing older, doing construction, working very hard, I used to get how much? $60 a day. And the contractor decided to duck everybody. Coming close to Christmas, he take all the money. When you looking for it, you can't see. I never forget that. That one hurt me, it hurt me, it hurt me. But I asked God to forgive him. And when I hear the story, they say they find it junk somewhere in something. So you see, when they do unjust, it is be something that you just have to pay for. Yeah, that is was the biggest and the hurtful experience because that construction work
Mhm.
was very hard. You're pulling up thing with pulley, blocks with pulley, everything mixing on the ground, and you have to pull it up and they come and get dug there fortnight. And then the company telling you now, them are not going to do that, them give you the money. So you have to wait till that next fortnight now with a different contractor to get some money.
And this is making $60 a day,
Yeah,
and you work hard for 14 days, and then you get docked this visa
yeah,
approaching Christmas time.
yeah.
That must be a
And
terrible
everybody,
Christmas, boy.
Mason, other laborers, everybody. It was real hard. It was real hard.
Wait, I mean,
Yeah,
it kind of happens all over the world, eh? But you think about this human, it's just human nature. We were talking about this a little bit earlier. The
yeah.
things that if you're counting totally on your human nature to exercise it, that you just it not beyond anyone to really do unjust, as you say, if it is that you're not focused on, like some greater good, some higher power kind of keeps you in line, or, whatever the higher power might be for you. Okay, so you're working and you're sticking to jobs in terms of hard work. I'm using this word because it's some one that we tend to use in Trinidad, right? Yeah, as you might ask a man, hey, why is you? Well, I just do painting. I mean, clean here and there. I'll hustle. What does that word hustler? Does that bring up kind of any? Do you describe yourself as a hustler?
Nah, I just say myself self-employed.
And
Yeah.
and, and what does he when a man say he hustling?
I find hustling to me, because when you say hustling could be drugs, it could be wrong things, it could be that kind of. So I just like that to call myself that. It'd be like you're calling something
Okay.
on yourself now.
In terms of how we understand the word hustler.
Yeah, yeah,
I need to stop saying I'm a hustler.
yeah. I see.
Or you're walking on past, you're a hustling boy.
Yeah, I self-employed. I go down do something and come back.
Okay,
Yeah.
so as a hard worker, you're painting people houses and whatnot. Have you ever? What was it like in terms? You have any office experience to say, hey, once upon a time I work in an office, and what type of,
Well,
or how you feel about office work, or any experience that you may have with it? I'm asking that question because some people tell you clear as day, I ain't make to sit down in an office, partner. I like to be outside. I like to be, physical
nah,
with
I
the
never
work.
had them experience. I go like ERP. I always on the outsides.
Right. Never ever.
Yeah,
Since
land,
1974 onward, never
yeah,
work a office job.
nah, landscaping with companies, all right. Because in Sentang had some fellas who used to take up all the youths and them and kayaks, landscaping,
Okay.
fortnight we get pay. So we know about them kind of thing, planting lawn, more outside things. Everything is to be more on the outside. Yeah.
And what was the, I think about what you're saying there and the importance of things like that. But on one hand, the type of lifestyle you live working, I'm talking here particularly about work. Um, because when I think back to the past, or you hear stories about the past, people would say, I had to work. I had to work even if I was 12, 13, 14 years old to support the family, to be the extra source of income to help dad get through this job a little bit faster. Do you have, or can you think about any colleagues or people growing up in your community and they focused solely on the school work, or do you have any kind of personal regrets for yourself in terms of, well, you know what, boy, I kind of wish that today in 2022, I wish my path had gone a little bit different, that I was into office work. How you feel about maybe um
Uh,
uh, some of the decisions that whether it's the parents made it for you or you yourself made, and how it positioned you to be a hard worker, but somebody who is maybe on a day-to-day kind of grind. You see a different part for yourself with school. And I'm formulating the question correctly. So I hope you're
yeah.
kind of picking out what again at.
My experience with that is when my mother did pass away. We, I was in Form 3, 15 years, and she came and passed away. And she was the main source to support us all now. And from that, it was Marissa brother, our one brother, four sisters. So it was six of us. And from that now, because after everything, she had to come and get a apartment and move her. And we had also see body rent, had to see body. So I had also kind of slack off of the schooling and started to take up a little laboring work around to support the family.
So you're in school until Form 3.
Yeah,
And with your mom's passing, you launch out into the working world,
yeah,
and your classes started, well suffering naturally because of
yeah.
it.
Because in
You mind
between,
talking a little bit about where your stepdad is in the picture here?
now well, it ended up with separation with them.
Okay.
Yeah, so she came and she got an apartment. And she got an apartment and move her. And when she come and pass away now, Stepdad come back in the picture now because he been married to her and had a brother and a sister through that relationship with the both of them. And he came back and he started to support us. Then he ended up going and taking his two children with him and he leave us there. So I had us to do what I had us to do. Hustle, hustle, go about digging a little grave, doing this with them men and them, and thing just to get the bills down and everything. Focus for you to keep the apartment.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you said that you live in where at that point in time when you went back with your stepdad,
Um, Move over Paradise Heights. Yeah.
and you just so what was your morning like when you wake up? You had a sense of where you were going to work. You hit the streets and you're just walking looking for work.
Yeah, just walking, looking.
All right, so just give me a little bit of idea. What your typical morning may have looked like. Let's say, you drop out of Form 3, and maybe 6 months down the road, Ricky wakes up on a morning. Give me a little sense of what,
No,
because this you're looking at probably like 1986. You're talking about here somewhere around there.
yeah. You
So
wake up, you watch nothing to eat. You watch your other brother, your sister. You got to consider yourself the man in the home because you remember your sisters now. You ain't want them to go out there and be asking Tom, Dick, and Harry for something to be advantage. So you got to come now as a man now, take up that slack and fight. Uh, them was hard times. And we survived it. But none of us in passed away. We still had the apartments. Everything was good at the end of it. But it take plenty, eh? Take plenty. I go older, URP started coming in the picture. Every URP, I gave him a little thing because I used to be good with the elders in the community. Then they didn't know the situation. Always cleaning all the yard. All them time is $60 and $65, $50 you're working for. Yeah. And every month the rent running up.
right,
Yeah.
you could recall what rent may have been around then.
We used to pay 300 a month. Yeah, you know when you miss about 3, 4 payments, that adding up, adding up, adding up on you quick.
And of course, you have things like your grocery bills,
Yeah.
coming in expenses. You're out there working, or your sister cooking, you cooking. What's the
Yeah.
living arrangements
Now,
like?
well, the big one, she used to do the cooking. Yeah, she used to do the cooking. Yeah, and any little thing come around, county, anybody have any little hustle, like housing, anything, I used to find myself and tell them my situation. So I used to get you know.
It
Yeah.
is very easy for maybe people with very different circumstances to look at whether it's CPEP, whether it's URP, and think that despite the beautification of the place, that sort of arrangements or programs, they aren't necessary as a waste of government money. But I'm thinking about the story that you're sharing here now, and the importance of these programs for the living situations that you had. Was there any sort of, I mean, apart from the goodness of the community, the URP, what was something that any other thing that you were doing for us, a source of income, any other type of programs that you all had access to? Because I mean, what you describing to me, Ricky, is a real painful experience in terms
Well,
of
after while thinking now, end up in a little food shed back corner, selling a little coconut, a little fig, hit to the market to really come back with all that little orange little thing and trying to support her because remember the European one thing, it was just a little piece.
right.
So you're trying to get the next piece here now. So it was plenty effort you had to put out.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you're
plenty effort.
juggling so much, and
Yeah.
then maybe just be hitting some of the payments, or sometimes falling short of it. So
Yeah.
you'll remained in that position renting there. You all ever had any kind of situations where you had to be moving around the place? That's because of maybe not
Mm,
hitting
mm,
certain bills or
yeah, no, well, you remember the housing scheme. So when your bills go up, housing come and send a letter for you, you know. You have to go, and explain them and tell them, well, you can't make it three, but you can make one a month now to try to clear that bill, clear that bill, clear that bill, you know. Otherwise, I'm put you out because you remember them in Like that's how the business is
Yeah,
going
that's
on.
that's the business from their point of view.
Yeah.
So is there? I want to ask you about a particular of goodness or support that came out from the community or some individual or some religious organization in a moment of true hardship in those years. You know, somebody that really kind of rally, whether it was around a Christmas time or whatever, but it stands out in your mind that, hey, by this person coming along, they saved the day. I mean, you have any kind of experiences like that?
Now, tell a lady we used to call mother, right? I used to do anything for that lady. Clean yard, do anything. So around Christmas time and things, she go organize groceries. She go think and say, we keep carry home that and all you make sure they are take home to eat and thing. Yeah. She
So,
was
so,
ready.
so mother was a big support in,
Yeah. Part in my life
yeah.
towards my family.
And
Yeah.
you mind telling me a little bit more about mother in terms of was there some kind of advantageous position she was in, meaning that, hey, you know, was she supporting based on, what's the right way to say this, boy? Somebody that had access to so much more, or was it somebody from, you know, similar circumstances? In other words, what does the people support like mother, right?
All
Is
right.
it that these people are there to support us because they're better than us, or they just have a certain kind of compassion in your heart for people?
Yeah,
Uh,
she had a little parlor and thing, but she always had love for the youths and them. Because one or two of them youths, now she go take, she had a little parlor, she go put them inside the parlor to have a little dollar in the pocket
right,
and them kind of things. And then she go, because how she used to deal with the government and thing, they, she go write down in whoever the girl, the little European thing, and long she write down and she send out that paper, your name coming down. So that the kind of support she should support
right.
the community with. But
And you lived there in the area until when?
now, now you have become a boy days from primary school straight up until, as I tell you, my mother passed away because we went mobile elementary, right? That junior sec. But primary school was lower Mova government school. Yeah, they used to call that market school long time now. Yeah.
And what was Muval until that school like back then? I mean,
No, well,
for instance, here's why I'm asking that question, right? There's a guy who makes videos as well, and he works at Mova Secondary School. Stefan, he does like Trini alphabet and whatnot, and he always in his interviews and even a discussion that we had recently on the Caribbean Content Creators podcast, one of the things that he mentioned is, you know, that it is people has a certain kind of perception of it, but the love that I feel there, and is visible even in the work that he's doing. So
mhm.
he's like, you know, there's this kind of general perception that exists in the wider community. And but me being here, and he isn't from that area, he's, you know, like from deep south side. And him working there would tell you that, hey, you know, is love. And he would say the best, this is the best school. So when you is there any kind of misconceptions about the school that you went to, the community that you lived in,
N-
that you would like to kind of, there's a kind of opportunity to clear up and say, hey, you know, the school that I went to or the community that I lived in, you all may think X, Y, and Z about it, but this is the truth.
Yeah, because we school days now, it was only love. You go in here, you go in the community was real loving, right? You just saw love. The elders, you're walking on the road, the see any little struggle and thing, they separated, they let you go your way. It used to be that kind of way. Because remember a long time now, the elderlies, and then see you doing something wrong, they used to correct you because they had that love. But with now, we don't know how now is, right? Yeah. But in them times, it's love.
Okay.
Plus, we coming across, we playing cricket in the grounds there because them time, Paradise has will come across, they play cricket, and we'll come down, play cricket. It was always I love football, everything was I love. It wasn't that pulling and tugging and all that thing we see now. So to me, it's love.
So you
Yeah.
think even the style of football was different in terms of how they would play it?
Yeah, them football was real nice. These football we see, yeah, it good, but I find in we days was a better brand, was a better everything and more seriousness and everything.
You into
Yeah.
football?
Yeah, I play football for the school and everything.
Uh,
Yeah, I really like football.
what position you used to play in?
Midfield, center
Midfielder.
midfield, yeah. Spreading the ball on the both wings. Helping the defense. Always energetic. Yeah.
World Cup finished recently. Who you backed with?
I was watching I really wanted Argentina to win for Messi was to hold that World Cup because he reached so much at times and never get a cup to hold. So that was my desire and it come to pass
Right.
that he
Well,
hold that World Cup before he resigned. Yeah, because that's the greatest cup a man could hold, you know. No matter how the champion lead and this cup and that cup. You see your country, represent that and really bring that victory home. There'll be an extra peace, an extra love in your heart. No?
yeah, thinking back to when that's so true. What you're saying because I thinking back to when Trinidad qualified for the World Cup some years ago. And I was telling someone recently that there was a particular spirit that you was feeling in the country when you're walking around and you're
Yeah,
passing person. I mean, I live in a one of the things I love about Trinidad is the ability to walk past people and you're still like, hey, what you say? Cool. It's still have the, you still engage people visually and nod a wave or whatever the case might be. But when we qualified for the World Cup, boy, is something that's just etched in my memory, and it lasted for weeks or maybe months that you're walking past, and hey, yeah, boy, that's sort of vibe that
yeah, yeah.
that maybe
I
really truly
love now,
feel what that
yeah.
that love is that you talk about when you that you hear old people, seniors talk about. So let's kind of fast forward to 2022. You expressed what life was like for you after your mom passed away. You're walking around in form tree, you're looking for jobs, you wake up, sometimes you don't have, anything to eat, but there's a day-to-day type living. What some people will call you're hustling. You're a
Mm,
hard worker, right? I just using the word so we're familiar with the jargon.
yeah.
Tell me a little bit about life in 2022 for you.
2022, continue to grow. God bless me with this painting. So, cause I get opportunity to go and learn trade. And the trade I get the opportunity was to go and learn was making chairs and that type when I was more young too, because
Okay.
most of them youth men they went and they take up that trade and they're still working there up to now who making mattress with the company, the mattress company and them still there. But like I didn't take it up because I study now how to get this money so fast now. I had to go now young, and going with them fellas and them and digging grave all over, because Mova had a cemetery. Is the my mother buried, they used to call it Mountain View Cemetery. But they say due to the slippage and thing, they close it down now.
Okay.
And we in Belmont, we in St. Tanks, we in Sour. Just moving around looking. I the youngest. I had to shovel because I really couldn't have the fork and the pickaxe like them. But the shovel man now, us them come out, I had to be the shoveling. And now it get more easier. Hustle style, same working hard style, but reasons say you grow with the skills.
Right.
Because you continue to focus on God and you continue to bless your hands. Because this Christmas here, clean plenty house. I'm talking about clean house. Take down curtain, take down the cupboard, clean fridge, cup bathroom, and people who trust you because people in nobody come in the house now.
Yeah,
So
and that's so true. And
yeah,
that's one of the things that I was leading to in terms of,
yeah,
how do people respond to you, like compared to 1982 when you're walking around looking for
yeah,
jobs and you probably go up to a strange house now and, hey, my name is Ricky and do you have any
yeah.
type of work? How easy, how difficult is it to approach people and actually get them to agree to say, well, hey, yes. And I think the more important question that I want to hear, because I think it will, I want to ask, because I think it will benefit me and others listening when you enter to work in the yard, whether it is to paint, what are top three or four things that you are doing to maintain an element of trust with people that they will say, if this guy shows up by my door again, apart from your approach to the cleanliness of the work, leaving the site, maybe doing a little bit extra that somebody feel they get a line up. What are some of the principles that you have in your head to build trust with the people who employ you?
I just tell myself in my head, I come to work, I focus in on what I come to do. Nothing else mustn't distract me. If I see something looking like, I call you and say, look this day, look that day. Yeah, I not going to let that distract me for me to say, I didn't come for that. I come to work, and if I tell you if it's 50 cents, if it's a $5 when I done, I content with that. By your goodness and see what I do, and you want to give me an extra, I receive it.
Okay,
I
so,
not,
so you're focused on your work. Your
yeah,
eye in long, as the old people might
yeah,
say, and whatever wage you agree to for a particular job,
yeah.
you do it.
And I contented in my heart for that. And then they go tell somebody, go say, I'm looking for somebody to clean for me, you know. They go say, well, I know this fella. He does be by we. He does come, he does focus on what we have to do. I all I concern with. You see what I have to do? Yeah, and so I just get the work on them. So I get
Yeah.
it all and cleaning work for Christmas. That's work by one person, a cousin, a friend. I don't go around call you out and say, hello, hello, knock on the door. You anything to do? No, I don't do that. So
So word of mouth recommendations
yeah,
is one of the
because
biggest.
people trust you. And that's the most important thing.
And it's so interesting that you're saying that because in terms of being focused on your work, your eyes not long towards other things, you're being contented, you're satisfied. It is a principle that I realize that if these are things that you apply to, regardless of your portfolio, regardless of your hobbies in life, if you really try to apply these principles, it tends to work for you. And to go a little bit further, that is something that I have expressed to my wife about you. And thank the Lord, the relationship has continued in that way so
Yeah.
far that Ricky comes, he works hard, he's focused on what he's doing. I mean, after a moment, you might even forget that you're there.
Mm-hmm.
And it is this idea of, because you go by somebody, you outsmart them for maybe an item that worth $100.
Yeah.
There's no continuity. There's no. In fact, you might go on that person's street and say, "Hey, I don't want to see you here again."
Yeah.
They're not going to recommend it to someone. You
Yeah.
stand so. Recently, I was talking to a guy and he said to me, he said, I have brought back certain principles that I learned in the States in terms of customer service and whatnot. And he said, I am benefiting from it. I am trying to teach my brothers, his own family, these principles, and they're just not getting it. That's not a stranger he trying to teach you, that's a brother.
Yeah.
And they're just not getting it. And he himself is seeing the benefits of it, and they are seeing the benefits and enjoying the benefits of it, but the principle not there. So I'm so glad that we're touching on that topic there in terms of how you build trust and how that trust helps you find more work and whatnot. So, Ricky, in terms of where we reached so far, is there anything that I haven't asked you? Anything about your past that you would like to talk about before we continue?
All right, I would like to put a little word on my father's behalf.
On your dad's behalf.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. As I say from the beginning, he come in with some water, he gets you pregnant, he realize the belly close to come, he run out due to a weakness what is called alcohol.
Okay. So we're talking about your biological dad here.
Yeah.
You're pregnant with the twin, the boy and the girl.
Yeah.
And a certain weakness that he has, you named it alcohol.
Yeah.
He leaves.
He leaves.
Okay. Go ahead.
Right? And he continues to do that, continues to do that. So it was hard. And when I get to know him now, it was so hurtful to know him, boy, he had a father out there and in time I needs, because in them times when my mother passed away and things, that the time I needed a real father support now, and he wasn't there. Yeah, so it's a kind of pain. But as you grow older, you forgive now.
So how old were you when he came back in?
I've done about 35, 37 years already.
Who you were 35 years?
Yeah.
When you reconnected with your dad?
Yeah, when I reconnect him and it's due to my sister. Because I done seen I at time to study he again he on his own scene. And she make sure and seek and ask questions until she gets a connection with him. And she come and tell me. And a day I went down with her and I really see him. Because you all want to know either your mother or your father if they're not
Sorry to
around.
interrupt. Yeah, let's try to talk into the mic as
Yeah.
much as possible. Right.
Yeah, I seen no matter your mother or your father and they're not around you, as a child growing up, you just always want to know who is your real parents. Yeah. And when I get to know them now and you just want to know them. To know, yeah, boy, that my father or that my mother. No. It's have a special love. So that love now is come and cover all the pain for the time that wasn't in the picture. No? And,
So I know we kind of jump back into the past here, and I'm glad to ask you the question. You're growing up with your stepdad.
yeah.
You're aware that that is your stepdad, or you're up until a certain age you're thinking this is your dad
No, I was aware from
from very young.
from very young.
Okay, and so he's there for you all. I know you talk about a separation that might come a little bit later on, that will come a little bit later on, and then your stepdad reconnecting with you all when your mom passes away, right?
Yeah.
Uh, what are you, by knowing that this is your stepdad you're living with, and somewhere out there is my dad. You may not have the entire story. You could describe to me what that emotion is like in terms of, because here's what I'm asking. Here the lines are going along, right? As someone who has not lived through those circumstances, me, I grew up with my mom and dad. I haven't experienced the things you've experienced, right? I'm trying to understand a little bit of the pain that might be there despite the presence of a stepdad.
Um.
Because we read a lot in the newspapers and different articles about the pain that young men may be feeling in today's society because their dad isn't around. And you have a situation where it is a stepdad there and you're still describing some of the pain. So let's pretend when you're answering this, let's imagine, sorry, that there is a dad out there listening to this who has not made himself available to his children. And I want you to help me and that father understand what their child is feeling so that they may say to themselves, hey, is with me stopping this nonsense and going to be there. So I want to understand that pain.
That pain to me just come. You see when you see your schooling and friends talking about you know my daddy carry me so you know my mother was so with me. You know we there was day for me for the Christmas. You know my father buy this for me. You have nothing. It have pains. It is not nothing to say. A sadness to sit here, and it lead other people on the outside now to be a comforter for that, and sometimes it be the wrong person, and it's they with the strain and the wrongness coming in the child life. Now. Remember them looking for that comfort, you know. For the other friends, especially in school, you know. Wait for the holiday, right? Write the article. Where you go write? You got to be lying to say, oh gosh, but what?
Even with the stepdad there.
Yeah, even though the stepdad, because it's deep down inside, you know that it's not really
Hey,
your
boy.
dad. So the eyes he miss here is miss now. Wrong holiday times, wrong children coming and say, look my daddy buy for me for the Christmas. Look my daddy they you see the parents coming and pick up the children and the both sitting there, because you know how children is. Daddy, daddy, daddy. Where you was say, stepdaddy, stepdaddy, stepdaddy. Daddy for my brother and sister say daddy, daddy, daddy.
Right.
Yeah, but stepfather was such a love that he kind of covered up in with the love that he showed us all. As he come from work, everybody, as he sit down, who laughing to take off the side of boots, who laughing to take off that because they
Hey.
know he coming, he coming with snacks, he coming with this, he coming with love. So, what daddy time you just miss when other children talking about the father and the mother, and you just step in a corner, so it'll be an inside pain. And then you look for that comfort, and suddenly you bounce on the wrong company to get that comfort, and it's shady children and them, both male, both female. And that was causing a set of wildness today.
It's so interesting that you say that because that's
Yeah.
something that I missed in the past in terms of being able to identify and say, hey, here's what, boy, there's the wrong person could come along and start to groom you and make the child feel that, hey, this is what that love is like, boy, and
Yeah.
then now you become something that could be used in a particular way.
That we be seeing today. That we causing all this thing today.
Right. Now, so is it kind of safe to say that because of your stepdad and him, he's showing the love, is masking some of the pain, but not all of it, that even that was able to bring a sense of stability to you, that you didn't go down the wrong path, but they say, hey, let me, what makes you, and I always wonder this about you, and I'm glad I have the opportunity to ask you, like, what does make a man get up and say, hey, today's another day, a hard physical work, going out there, checking the contacts that I've made. You're like, what? I just thinking about the influence, the positive influence that even your this, despite whatever problems and issues you and your mom may have had at different times. I'm thinking about how valuable even that is towards you, and the spirit that you have of keeping up with hard work versus saying, well, let me be like the son man, go and rob and shoot and
Yeah. You gotta make a choice. If you want the right thing, you have got to do the right thing. And that's what I just do. Keep that love, trust God, and say, God, no matter what I do, I know you always providing for me. And I just get up walking. Look, this morning, I just come walking. Ain't knowing that we'll end up in this. But first thing while I walking, I talking to God. I saying, God, I trust you. I pray to you this morning. You say ask and I will receive it. I say I walk in, you know my heart, I looking for the dollar, the valid food on the table, and know you go provide it.
Hmm.
And I just go with that trust every single day. And it does work. It does work.
What is the longest you've gone without finding work, like a day or two? And
Months. Yeah, that's moving wrong, moving wrong. Sometimes nothing for the whole week. But somehow he will still provide something to eat. He always. So that is build a different trust in him now. Yeah. Yeah, my time in the early I come in the lady and I walking up and down, up and down. Nothing, nothing, nothing. I just had to go back over the savannah, sit down, pray to him again. Somebody go past, you go know. Look at $20, look this, you get some teeth. But you just keep on trusting in him and have that faith and knowing that you want the right thing. Or you want the right thing to fall on your children, fall on the children in the community. So to do the right thing. It is be hard, but long as you look above, because he always looking long at we, you know. And he always give us our heart desire. So that is be my faith, and that I just start with every single day.
thank you for sharing that.
Uh,
What is there any, what's one thing? No, I will save that question for last. You're born in 1974. You're working hard since you're a youth man. It gets a little bit harder when your mom passes away. You're in Form 3. You're still working hard in 2022. You've made some connections, and those connections serve you well. how how is this journey for you as you get older and you enter your later years, and how do you see age even being able to affect the type of work that you're doing, because you're not 18 years anymore?
yeah, not yeah.
And what was your plan beyond, that I could only work so hard for so long, I could only accomplish things that you have any pains coming in a couple of years, 10 years, 12 years, whatever the case might be. So are there any type of fears that you have in terms of the type of occupation that you're doing, a hard worker, physical worker, working construction site, and what age may be doing, and then your future beyond? Because I don't know what type of things you may have in place in terms of retirement, pension. So I'm trying to build a sense of someone like you who's working hard, and what the future might hold for you, and what those fears anything like that along those lines.
Along those lines, I like the garden. So I want a piece of land, plant them up, long-term crops, short-term crops, get blessings, for house on it. So my daughter will be comfortable and I accomplish that, I comfortable. I have no fear, nothing to do with nothing. That is my greatest fear right now. To receive that before, as you say, time to wait for no one.
Right.
Sickness belongs to everyone. So I get that. Now I pray for every day and now I working so hard for every day. Because I always doing something for somebody. I want to do something for myself. When I do it for myself, I know that it's for she. And I know he will give me my desire and I'll get you. And I go be good to go. Yeah. I don't want you to come and be struggling like how I struggling. Yeah. Must leave something solid for her.
Well, you've answered the question that I wanted to ask there in the same breath, which is, what's one thing that you would like to accomplish?
Yeah.
And, like you, I have a daughter, and you think about the different things that you could put in place and how realistic it might be. And then you keep working hard towards it. And Ricky, I really appreciate you taking the time to chat. And, I think by you sharing your experience with me and the hard work that you've done throughout the years, it really is inspiring for me to see the effort that you put into your work, the time that you put into the work. I I can't imagine what some of these struggles is like on a day-to-day basis, where you're probably not sure where your next dollar coming from. But I think about how valuable men like you, hard workers, are to Trinidad and Tobago, and people who may have things that they want to accomplish around their home, but not the time. And it's my hope that one of the things I'm hoping that this conversation for from not just for me, but anyone listening would say that I appreciate the men that take the time to do that. Because by you taking the time to do that, one of the things that I feel like um I feel like when life has kind of played those cards for you and you're working in that style and accomplishing long-term goals could become a little bit more difficult. There's certain things that someone who chose the office job and sitting down in the office may have access to more things from the bank, loans, different things.
Yeah.
There's certain types of paperwork that you may not have in place. So accomplishing things that you want for to say that you have a legacy for your daughter maybe 10 times harder for you than it is for another person in a different circumstance. So I really appreciate you sharing these stories of your community in the past that you belong to, of the people that were there like mother to support you, of men like your stepdad who stepped up to the plate and supported. I could Thanks for sharing this story, as painful as it may have been, about your dad and the emptiness and the loneliness that it leads to in children. I have definitely at the end of this conversation, I have changed in that I have a better sense of appreciation because I've heard it in the past, but I never quite get it. I feel like I get it today.
Right.
And I want to thank you for that. All right. And all that you do.
And thank you for giving me this opportunity to take out some pain that was holding back inside. And I could share it with others so I know it out.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, Ricky. Before we close off, is there anyone in particular that you want to shout? You're not obligated to, you don't have to. But if in closing there's anything you would like to say to a particular someone out there, you don't have to name them, that it will be a sort of testament.
My daughter,
Mhm.
I love you and I'll always try my best and for God first that He will give me the strength that I'll be there and around you. And it ain't gonna be like how my father did me. And that is my word for the day.
All right.
How I sound good? Talk now, eh?
So we still have the live going on, and I just ended the recording for the podcast, which I will post after this. So folks, if you're into Ricky, thanks.
Yeah,
I really appreciate
thank you
this
very much too.
conversation,
Yeah.
and I learn a lot. I learn a lot,
Nah, that's the thing.
and there are things that
And you see,
I don't want to take for granted.
yeah, don't take anything for granted, man. Because it's when you fitness, it's always easy for somebody to come in, yeah, let me use somebody to come in and make it look like comfort them. And the next thing is destroy you. That person plan to destroy the rest. And that is the hardest thing.
Hmm.
Speaking of whatever,
Yeah. Go ahead. All right, so folks, thanks very much for those are you all that tuned in probably in the background, and thank you so much for your time. I see that I will be calling the podcast "Life in Trinidad" with Lyndon. So thank you very much for participating in that. Ian Family Vlogs, good morning to you if you're still there. The White Family Farmstead, good morning. Keep up. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. The White Family Farmstead. I'll check out your. I guess you have a channel with that name, so I'll check out that. Salif Trilok. He who prays and labors lifts his heart to God with his hands. Thank you very much. You'll take care and have a great day, and I'll see you all next time. Oh, what I'll do is I'll post the link to the podcast when I upload it. Bye bye.